Welcome to the Village Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. It is now 7 p.m. and I ask you all to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And once again, let us remain standing and think about our servicemen serving our great country. And also let us think about the two FBI agents who were recently killed. And let us think about their family. Thank you. And also let us keep in mind our National Guardsmen that work here in the village of Suffern that are currently deployed down to Washington, D.C., serving our great country. Okay. Roll call of participants. Trustee Corrigan.
Present.
Trustee Soberman.
Present.
Trustee Alpert.
Present.
Trustee Barone.
Present.
Thank you. I have the village clerk, Miss Amy Paffenroth, with me. I believe Mr. Glickle is online, and Mr. Magrino, is Mr. Magrino online? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The first item that I would like to address is the Andrew C. Haggerty Award. The Andrew C. Haggerty Award for outstanding service was started on February 1st, 2010, approximately 11 years ago by Mayor Dagan LaCourte. And the first recipient in 2010 was John Conklin, a former water department supervisor who is now retired from the village of Suffern. So we continue this long-standing honor. And the Andrew Haggerty Award is in honor of former Mayor Andrew Haggerty. Andrew Haggerty was also a trustee, and he was helped hand out the award for the first time back in 2010. We also believe Mrs. Haggerty is online with us this evening via Zoom, and that we will always recognize Mayor Haggerty as an outstanding mayor and a citizen of the village of Suffern. Thank you for all you have done for the village of Suffern and what you continue to do, Mrs. Haggerty. We applaud you. Here is some of the information. This award is a way for the mayor and village board to recognize people. It could be an employee, a volunteer, people who provide this village with outstanding service. What makes the village of Suffern a great village? Well, first of all the wonderful people who work here day in and day out, all the men and women of the volunteer fire department, and the residents that volunteer in our recreation department, all the residents, merchants, and village staff. That's what makes Suffern a wonderful place to live and raise a family and run a business. So this evening, I would like to recognize two individuals for their outstanding service to the village. Sergeant Jim Giannatino and Sergeant Dan Kiernan, for their efforts on keeping the Suffern Police Toy Drive up and running during the COVID-19 pandemic. During this time, more now than ever, Sergeant Giannatino and Sergeant Dan Kiernan, for their efforts on keeping the Suffern Police Toy Drive, I said that already, sorry. During this time, more than ever, Sergeant Jim and Sergeant Kiernan restored hope in families in need. Providing toys to children for the Christmas season. During these trying times, it is a pleasure to see a community come together and support the toy drive. I hope these acts of kindness continue through all of us and make each day a better one. I commend them for this humbling undertaking, and I also applaud the entire police department and all the volunteers that worked with them on the toy drive. This time I'd like to call Sergeant Jim Giannatino and Sergeant Dan Kiernan up as I present them with the Andrew Haggerty Award. Also, as a reminder of their service, a plaque will also be mounted and engraved with their names, along with the other numerous award recipients. Sergeants? Jim, we really appreciate your service on the toy drive. Thanks for showing that. Sergeant Kiernan, thank you once again for your outstanding service to the village of Suffolk. Thank you once again for your service as police officers, as sergeants in the police department, and for what you have been doing for the community. Thank you. Next up, we're changing the order of the agenda. We're moving up to the police department with Chief Andrew Laughlin.
Good evening, everyone. First item on my agenda, with a little bit of sadness, I need to ask the board to accept the resignation due to retirement of Senior Detective Craig, effective January 22nd.
Mayor, can anybody hear that? I don't think anybody can hear what's going on.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Cannot hear him.
Stand by. Cannot hear him? Okay, so, Lieutenant, Chief. Try that. Sorry about that.
Can you hear
Get
me now?
close to the microphone, chief.
Can you hear me now?
A little better, thank you.
Okay, I'll try to read loud. So the first item on my agenda is to ask the board to accept the resignation due to retirement of Senior Detective Craig Long, effective January 22nd, 2021. Senior Detective Craig Long served with the Suffolk Police Department for 40 years. He was one of the most well-liked and well-respected members of the department. And although it's with a little bit of sadness that we ask you to accept his resignation, we wish him much luck in his retirement.
I refuse.
yeah, I do as well. Can we do that, Andy?
He recused.
Here's the resignation. Yeah.
I'd be all for it.
Yeah, outstanding. I mean, good for him, but bad for us, of course.
But I move to accept his resignation.
Okay, so I have the resolution in front of me accepting a letter of resignation, letter of retirement from Craig Long. Resolve the Village Board of Trustees accepts the letter of retirement from Craig Long, Senior Detective, reflecting a retirement effective date of January 21, 2020, nunc pro tunc. 2021, excuse me. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Do I have a
Second,
second?
trustee Corrigan.
Do we have any further discussion?
Thank you, Craig, for everything. I've worked with him for a long time, and it was truly an amazing experience every single time.
He's the best. There's nothing else I can say. He's the best.
Yep.
I've only heard good things about Craig.
I would like to applaud Craig on his service of 40 years to the village of Suffering for outstanding service and commitment. And I know that he will continue his commitment working alongside me in special projects as he will continue to help us and help our veterans. Thank you, Craig. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So now you're officially retired. There he is.
The second item I have on my agenda is the assignment of Police Officer Andrew York to the detail of detective.
So, Police Officer York, to fill the vacant position created by the retirement of Senior Detective Craig Long. Officer York came to the Suffering Police Department in 2014 after serving with the best police department in the world, the New York City Police Department. Sorry about that, guys. His performance as a member of the Patrol Division patrol division here in Suffern has been exemplary. He has served as a field training officer, a role in which he has excelled in training training several new officers. Due to his exceptional performance on patrol, he was assigned to the Rockland County Intelligence Unit, where he has shown time and time again his investigative powers and tenacity in closing cases. This assignment is well-deserved for Officer York, and I have no doubt he will do a great job in this position. Congratulations. And joining us here this evening is Ashley, Andrew's fiance, and Andrew's parents, Mike and Jean York. I'm gonna turn the camera, working off of one camera. That's all of them. Okay. I have the resolution authorizing a pay increase for assignment to detective duty. Whereas the chief of police has informed the village board as police commissioners that following a recent retirement from the police department, he will be detailing Officer Andrew York to detective duty. Therefore, be it resolved that upon his commencement of detective duty, Officer York's salary shall be increased in accordance with the salary schedule set forth in the current contract between the village and the Suffern PBA, effective February 3rd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Salomon.
Trustee Soberman, do I have any discussion? I would like to say, based upon the chief's recommendation and from what I have seen in Andrew's performance throughout the last 6 years that I've been here, that there is no one else, well, there are others, but you are the choice of the chief of police to be the next detective, and I congratulate you and thank you for your service. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Congratulations.
At this time, I'd like to call up Officer, now Detective Andrew York, and Senior Detective Craig Long. We're going to have a bit of the passing of the shield, a little bit of tradition. Craig is retiring and Andrew's taking his spot, so Craig will be pinning the shield on Andrew. Thank you.
I, Andrew York,
I, Andrew York,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will abide by the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will abide by the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
as detective
as detective
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item that I have on the agenda is appointing Matthew Imperio as a part-time police officer. As the board recalls, he was nominated at the prior board meeting, and he has since received clearance from the Department of Personnel for employment.
I have the resolution in front of me appointing Matthew Imperial to the position of police officer part-time. Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby appoints Matthew Imperial as a resignation reinstatement effective February 1st, 2021, non-pro-tunc at a starting pay rate of $32 per hour. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Marone, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Alpert.
Do I have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Thank you. The next item I have is the appointment of Julio Varas to police officer full-time. Julio Varas was also nominated by the board at the previous meeting, and he has since received clearance from the Department of Personnel for employment.
I have the resolution appointing Julio Varez to the position of police officer full-time. Resolve the Board of Trustees hereby appoints Julio Varez to the position of police officer full-time from the Rockland County eligibility list 16097, effective February 1st, 2021, at a starting pay rate of $28.48 per hour, non-pro-tunc. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Barone, do I have a second?
Trustee Salomon, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you. My next item is to ask the board to amend the 2020-2021 budget to authorize police forfeiture proceeds to be utilized for police station upgrades and renovation.
I have the resolution amending the 2020-2021 budget for police forfeiture proceeds. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Corrigan.
Trustee Corrigan, do I have any further on the discussion? After anywhere between the area of 20 to 40 years, that the police station is in dire need of upgrades and modifications. And I appreciate the board recognizing that and authorizing this expenditure. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. My last agenda item is to ask the board to amend resolution number 4 of 2020, appointing Michael Barry to an updated certification of eligibles list.
Is that 2021? So I have the resolution appointing Michael Barry to the,
It's resolution 2021,
that's the resolution number?
Or
2020.
Yes. No, 2021.
2021. Appointing Michael Barry to the position of police officer full-time. The Board of Trustees hereby amends Resolution 4 of 2021 to appoint Michael Barry to the position of police officer full-time effective February 1, 2021, at a starting pay rate of $28.48 per hour from Rockland County eligibility list 16097 and per the letter of clearance for candidate police officer OC number 69-233 from Rockland County Department of Personnel. Non-pro-tunc. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Do I have a second?
Second, trustee Alpert.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, motion passes. Thank you very much, Chief. Are you complete or?
Unless you'd like me to go through the update.
Sure, if you don't mind, just do the update and
Sure.
I'll finish the.
Just to update the board on the police department's activity for January 2021, we responded to 664 calls for service. We made several arrests charging multiple individuals with penal law and vehicle and traffic violations. We also apprehended a fugitive from justice who would wander for robbery in the state of New Jersey. I know we spoke about this in the workshop meeting, but I just wanted to update the board and the public on one particular arrest that we made while responding to a domestic violence incident, because I feel the responding personnel acted in a professional and exemplary manner in bringing the incident under control without injury to any parties involved. On January 13th at approximately 3:30 a.m., dispatcher Makita received a call from a female resident stating that she was involved in a domestic dispute with her boyfriend and that she had locked herself inside of her bedroom because she was in fear for her safety. She further advised the dispatcher that her boyfriend was in the process of attempting to stab through her bedroom door with 2 large knives, as well as kick and break the door down in an attempt to get at her. Dispatcher Makita was able to keep the victim on the phone and provided direction to her while police officers Venturini and Michael Carswell responded to the residence. Upon arrival, the officers were able to place the male party in custody without incident. They were also able to gather evidence, including the knives that were being used to stab the door, and photographic evidence of the crime scene, including damage that was done, which will be invaluable to the prosecution of this individual. This incident could have very easily turned into a deadly force encounter, but the quick response and professionalism of the officers and dispatcher involved resulted in an arrest being made without force being used, and the removal of the offender from the scene, ultimately protecting the victim in this case. I wanted to ensure that the board and the public was made aware of the professional manner in which the dispatcher and responding officers handled the incident, and that they were recognized for their restraint and their professional response. The last item I needed to update the board was in regards to a traffic enforcement study and selective enforcement detail that we conducted. The study was initiated by request from Mayor Markounis after receiving a complaint from a resident of Wayne Avenue for vehicle speeding in the posted 35-mile-an-hour zone. Between January 18th and January 22nd, we conducted several speed enforcement details at this location. The speed of 663 vehicles was measured during the detail. The average speed for the vehicles measured was 34.73 miles an hour, with the high speed captured at 55 miles an hour. Again, the posted speed limit for this area is 35 miles an hour. We issued 4 speeding summonses as well as several summonses for various other infractions during this detail, and we will continue to periodically enforce speed-related violations in this area. And that's all I have for my update this month.
Well, thank you, Chief. And I would also like to applaud Dispatcher Makita on being able to contain that situation with the complainant on the phone, and the responding officers for being able to apprehend the perpetrator without incident and without harm to anyone. So excellent job, Chief, and to your staff and to all the police department. Great job once again, man.
Thank you.
And women. Okay, thank you. I would like to take a short break. Would the board mind taking a 5 to 10 minute break, and we'll reconvene here right at 7:30?
Sure.
Board, you agree?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just come right back on at 7:30.
Okay.
Thank you.
Looks that way.
No, we don't have.
Well, it only looks me, you, and Joe.
Well, we don't have the mayor.
All right, now we got
I'm here
Steve.
too. I've been here too, Charlie. I just turned off my camera.
Okay, is everyone back with us?
We are.
All right, thank you, and I apologize for that delay.
Sure.
Next up, Chief Jeremy Koffer from the Suffern Fire Department for an update.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Chief.
Not much really going on. We've been concentrating on getting our members vaccinated through the help of the County Health Department and the Office of Fire and Emergency Services, which has been pretty successful. Other than that, things are pretty good.
Good to hear.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, and thank you, membership, for continuing this service and providing that to the Village of Suffern. You guys continually do a great job, so thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one quick question, Jeremy.
Yep.
How is that going? Anybody get their first shot yet?
A lot of people have.
Good.
I'd say we're probably up to about at least 30, maybe more.
Okay, excellent. Good news.
So
Thank you.
it is moving along. Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, next, Mr. Fred Rella, our grant writer.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I'm able to be here tonight due to a couple of Advil from shoveling.
Yeah. No kidding.
It was tough.
That was quite the storm.
Beat me up pretty bad.
The Wayne Avenue Sidewalk Project was the Community Development Block Grant project. There was an invoice paid of $85,500 to Covino and Sons, who are the contractor on the project, putting together the paperwork, and that will be submitted at the beginning of next week. to the county for reimbursement. It's a reimbursement grant, so we have to put out the money to get the money back. We have a total of $284,720 in grant money for that. Jeremy was just on, and he's going to be applying for a grant at the end of next week called the Assistance to Firefighter Grant. And that's going to be for some new radios. The amount of the grant application will be in the neighborhood of $230,000+. So it's to bring us up to date with state-of-the-art equipment, which also will enhance the safety of the firefighter and help the community as well in putting out fires. Lastly, Michael Janito and I are working with Delaware Engineering along with Charles Sawicki, though Charles is out, as we all know, for the past couple of weeks with his operation. And this is a grant with the Environmental Facilities Corp to look at copper limits within the wastewater treatment plant. New standards are coming out in 2022. This will help pay for a study to look at those limits in relation to our plant, and then also some appropriate remediation. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Fred.
Yep.
Let's give him the tree committee update. Okay. Next up is Ms. Sandy Stead for the tree committee update.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. So I just wanted to first applaud the mayor's Squires Gate and Lake Antrim open space plans. The committee is extremely pleased and all members are very excited about participating. And just an update, I had researched some options for an entire village inventory. We had all suggested that at a prior meeting, but we're thinking maybe there might still be some grants that would be available in the upcoming year. Our DEC Regional Director, George Pofis, has told us that probably none this year, especially with the COVID restrictions on the state. So I had a discussion with Davie Resource Group, and they provided us with an option based on some information I gave them regarding the number of trees in the village. Charles had given us some information. We're not sure how many we have, but we could do an entire tree risk assessment and mitigation survey for approximately $13,500. That would be for 3,000 trees. I don't know if we have that many, but even if we don't, if we go over, we could at least get most of them done. And that would also include the park trees and shrubs and bushes. So with a budget of around $21,959, the tree committee is suggesting that we move forward with the entire tree risk assessment mitigation survey. Hold off on the bid we had for phase 2, 69 trees. And once it's a more logical, systematic way of doing things. We could have trees at risk in one area, and here we're choosing, 69 trees that might not be at such risk. So with that said, we'd like to have the board approve that and go out for an RFP, come back, and we probably will even have some money left over for pruning and trimming and maintenance for the trees that we've already, taken care of. So if there's any questions or more discussion.
How does the board feel about the risk assessment, the tree risk assessment for the inventory of 3,000 trees? I know we previously discussed it at the workshop. Is there anything that has changed?
I'm in favor of it.
I'm in
Okay.
favor of it as well.
Yes.
Mr. Zauberman?
Why would we need a request for proposal? Wouldn't that just be 13,000 for this one company that would do the tree assessment and mitigation?
Ms. Stead?
It's possible. It would be covered, I think, under professional services, but I had brought that up, and that, of course, depends on, the actuality of the municipal law and whatnot. But in most cases, under under a certain amount, discretionary budgets and whatnot, it probably would just go out for RFQ and bring it back. But certainly we want other companies. Davy was very, it was, very nice that they did this for us, but they also have a division that just helps municipalities, kind of steering them in the right direction. But we certainly want the advantage of other companies.
All right, that's good to hear.
Providing a quote.
Okay, and following the guidelines about procurement, and Mr. Magrino, would that be considered the professional service?
Yeah, I discussed this with Mr. Janito briefly, and we can discuss it before the board votes. I don't think there's a plan to vote tonight, but even if it is a professional service, it's a good practice to put out an RFP, because other professionals may come in with a better price or different qualifications. So I assume this is going to be on for next month for a vote. So I'll discuss with Mr. Janito the best way to go about it.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Magrino. Thank you, Ms. Stead.
And I just wanted to say before I back off that, I just wanted to thank Amy so much. She has put up our current law on the website. I had submitted to her the full outline of the tree advisory board, and I don't think it's published yet, but it will be. And saying again, the committee is very anxious to begin participating in the plans for the parkland and recreation. So thank you.
Yes. Ms. Paffenroth said thank you, and thank you. I know that Amy does dedicate a lot of time and does speak with you often in regards to the tree committee. So thank you, both of you, for everything you do.
And the entire committee, right? We're doing
Yes.
good things.
Okay. Okay, next is number 6 on the agenda. It is now 7:42. I'd like to make a motion to open a public hearing to consider changes to Chapter 254 of the Code of the Village of Suffern entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone,
Second, trustee Corrigan.
trustee Corrigan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Magrino?
Sure, I would just ask Ms. Paffenroth to confirm that the public hearing was noticed and the adjournment was noticed as well.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
With Rockland Journal News editor.
the Rockland Journal News.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and again, the adjournment after the meeting was canceled was posted on the website, and I know sent out via constant contact. So Amy Paffenroth and I worked on this, I guess you'd say in collaboration, mostly a lot of work by Ms. Paffenroth though. As you can see, the first part, we broke it down into permit parking for the municipal lots, somewhat self-explanatory about the different hours that parking is permitted in those spots. I may defer to the mayor and or Amy to get into more detail on this. And then various sections of the parking law with respect to no standing areas, no stopping areas, and parking at various spots throughout the village. It's comprehensive, so I don't know. We may have some questions from the public, but again, Mayor, if you or Amy have any further details you wanted to get into, I'm not really getting into the specifics, but if you want to get into that, I'll defer to you on that.
Well, in regards to the amendment of the chapter, the entire chapter of the amendments is published on the Suffern website. So,
Right.
and I know that all of the trustees also have a copy of the amendments to the chapter. It is detailed. If there are any specific questions from the public, they're more than welcome to ask, and by raising your hand, and you will be acknowledged and we'll receive your question.
While we're waiting, I don't know if any members of the board want to comment on this yet or wait till after public comment.
Oh,
I
I
have a-
did. Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
I certainly want
Amy,
to thank
I
you.
had met with you and asked you about putting a 15-minute spot on Lower Lafayette by the Suffern Food Mart. Can you comment on that for me?
On page 8, trustee Barone, it's been added.
Page
Thank you.
8. Yep.
Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
And we also worked with Amy worked closely with the Justice Court to ensure that the summonses and the related offenses are related to Chapter 254, if that makes sense. Some of the lots were renamed in the past, so we made those changes. Okay, I don't think we're going to be ready to vote on this evening. I think we need to still take another look at it. Do we want to make a motion to continue the public hearing? Like to make,
Motion, trustee Corrigan.
okay, let me get the date. What's the date for the continuation?
It will be
I have a question.
March
of-
1.
sorry,
Monday, March
1st,
1,
7:05.
7:05. Okay, but before I do that, I know trustee Albert, you may have a question. Is that right?
Well, I had a question that I'd brought up at a previous meeting and basically it was said, oh, wait till this hearing. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there regarding the 3 spots that were marked as a temporary loading zone near 25 Chestnut Street. So I was hoping Amy could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
so
page 12.
it's on page 12. I actually went and visited that location myself last week,
Let me look at that just a moment.
made those observations, and we'll be admitting them into the amendment.
So can you explain what will change, won't change? Can you clarify that?
So the 2 spots that are in front of 25 and 27,
Yes.
they'll be removed, or they,
They're moving 2 spots.
Because when I was reading this, I was having a hard time understanding some of it, but I mean, it's,
the loading zone, right, so we're gonna take 2 of the loading zone spots out, make them regular parking,
oh, good.
and
Okay,
only have 2 that are in front of Tiger Chef as
Yeah.
the loading zone.
okay. So there won't be any problems closer to 23, let's say, because there was an issue there with parking.
No, but
Okay.
that's why I want to make sure that that specifically is addressed and clear.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Because
Okay, so I'm gonna-
when I was reading through this, there was a few things that sounded like, not necessarily with that, but with other things, it sounded a little contradictory. Like one thing would say on this street, no standing anywhere, and something else would say you can park here for whatever this amount of time. And I just wanted to make sure that everything is consistent and clear, because there were some things when I read it, and again, I'm not an attorney, obviously, but reading through it, there seemed to be some things that were contradictory. So I just want to make sure that anything that's contradictory is not.
Yes, and this also has been, been back and forth with the attorney's office and reviewed and revised. So we'll continue that process through the month until till the March meeting,
Okay,
to make sure, like you said, it's clear and,
okay.
And
What I'll do is I went through it like a week ago or so, and it was a little bit not, as the saying goes, clear as mud, But I will go through it again and I will highlight the things that were not completely clear
Okay.
and that seemed contradictory, and I'll send them to Mr. Magrino and to you and just clarify. I'm not saying they're bad things. I'm just
Yep.
saying I don't understand them. And if I don't understand them as a trustee, it's hard to vote on it. That's all.
okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Hey, I appreciate your assurances that you're gonna, check into this thoroughly with both Amy and Mr. Magrino.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
you're welcome. Okay, thank you. Is there any further, or I'm going to put forth the motion to continue the public hearing until Monday, March 1st, 2021 at 7:05.
I make such a motion, trustee Salomon.
Trustee Soberman, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Corrigan.
trustee Corrigan. Is there any further on the discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Great, thank you. Next up is Miss Kathy Mills from Culture and Recreation. Miss Mills,
Hello, everybody. Can you see me?
there you are.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. So a few things that we have coming up. We were very lucky to open up the center this morning. We had the date of Monday to open, but as we all know, the world was under a lot of snow on Monday, so we didn't open, but we did open today. So we had our first class and the seniors were thrilled to be there. I thank DPW for getting the lots and the sidewalks and the entrances ready for everybody to come into the center. So that was a great start for today, Wednesday. So our chair exercise classes are on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Our chair yoga classes are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10, and then Zoom yoga on Fridays at 10 a.m. We have a current project going on, the President's Day Art Project for Village of Suffern Kids. We are giving out art canvases, and they're able to pick up an art canvas and do a project on Washington, Lincoln, Suffern, and patriotic art projects. So we're excited that we're getting a lot of feedback on that. People are coming down to Village Hall where Recreation is running out the canvases to them, and they're bringing them home and doing some art projects. So always trying to get kids involved with more things, and they're really coming through on this. So we're thankful for that. The Girl Scout troop, we were talking with them this past 2 weeks, and we're looking forward to working on a project with them this upcoming year. And then I was just on the phone with Mike Burns from the American Legion. The Valentine's for Veterans was such a wonderful turnout. There was a red mailbox in the gazebo, and then Connor School did a special box for us at the in their lobby. The box was full when I picked it up on last week. And then the mailbox itself, we daily went over and picked up Valentine's, and we want to thank everybody for dropping off Valentine's for the veterans. Mike Burns will be arranging to get those out to people before Valentine's Day. So they're going to share a little love with the veterans. So we thank everybody for participating in that. It really was a wonderful project, and we're glad that people came through. I saw groups and groups for some kids did, 5, 10 at a time and put them in a plastic bag, dropped them off at the gazebo. So thank you to everybody who took part in that. We appreciate it. The last thing that I have on the agenda is the events for 2021. I sent you an updated list today. There was just 2 changes because, as I mentioned, the chamber is looking to do their street fairs, which Martina is on. She's on this call tonight, and she's going to jump in and talk to you. But I won't mention every one because I wanted just to see if there was any feedback. Does anybody have any feedback or questions on the 2021 events?
I hope we're open enough to do those events, Kathy.
Me too. Me too.
Pending-
That's really what I would love.
Yes, me too. And we're
Right.
lucky a lot of our events are outside. We
Yes.
have the Easter egg hunt and Keep Rockin' Beautiful and things like that, that we're able to take advantage of being outside and doing outside events. So that's a plus for us in this environment now. So yes, we are looking forward to it. We're revved up. We're ready.
In keeping with the registration processes that we had put in place with Amy and you and the recreation team, ensuring that the COVID-19 protocols were all in place, which we continue to do.
Yes,
So thank you. That's great.
thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Hey, I
Kathy.
think Martina is going to jump on now.
I think so. Martina, you would just have to unmute yourself. And Mike, if you can unmute her too.
Sure, one moment, please. And Martina, you should also be able to start your video as well.
There's no red over this, right? No, wait, are we going to motion it or not?
She's just gonna speak.
Okay, hello. Good evening.
Good evening, Martina.
Hello, everyone. I'm the new president of the Suffolk Chamber, and I'm looking.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward working with you. Our new vice president is Adrienne Gross. She is the owner of Pine Knolls. Of course, Ori is also still involved in communications, and Francis Click is our treasurer from Matteo Communications. And you can find all the informations actually on the website of safanchamber.org. I'm sorry. So yes, we are planning actually for our Saffron Street Fair instead of April 18th. Obviously, it's not allowing us to do it right now in the situation. Like we would like to plan it for June 6th. And for the Fall Street Fair, we were planning for September 19th, the street fair. So we would look forward to do that, and we are looking forward that you would agree to these dates, and hopefully this would be something the village would agree to.
I'm sure, but Martina, it's great, and we want to, pursue the street fair, but we have to be guided by the restrictions that are in place at this time. But that's not saying the restrictions change like weekly, and monthly, and that we see a lot of vaccinations and people being vaccinated, so that may help us in the long run. But I think right now, I don't know how the board feels. I'm sure they feel the same way, that we have to be guided by the restrictions, but hopefully they will be lifted.
So what dates would you be able to tell us, for example, for the June 6th event, that we can host this street fair or not? What are your plans? Would you agree to give us the permit now?
No, Mr. Glickel, what would your advice be on this for COVID council in regards to the street fair?
Well, it is going to be outdoors.
Yes.
And I'm assuming, although we hope, and it never really pans out, that folks will adhere to social distance and so on. Even if you put markings in the street and in front of the different displays, stand here and not there. Not everybody's going to adhere to it, but I think I would be very hopeful for that time frame for a couple of reasons. Primarily because it is outdoors, and also because, as we're seeing now, with again returning to the relaxation of indoor dining in not only New York City, but in the state of New Jersey. And that is based upon a reduction in hospitalizations over the past month. So assuming we don't experience another surge as a result of too many people enjoying Super Bowl parties, I think June 6th is a relatively safe bet. But again, as you pointed out, Mayor, and we've been dealing with this for a while, the guidelines do change and get altered almost, I don't want to say daily, but certainly weekly or bi-weekly at this point. I would like to say, just following the trend, that comes D-Day, which is what June 6th is, Martina, for those who remember World War II, that would be a day that we can not only honor all the brave people who gave their lives on Omaha and Utah beaches, but also have a fun day for the residents of the Village of Suffering. So go ahead and project that as your street fair, and keep your fingers, toes, and eyes crossed.
Richard, could you discuss the possibility of mandating masks, even though it is outdoors, because people will be so tight together?
Not a bad idea. Probably a pretty good idea. Of course, the problem is that the federal mandate only applies to public transportation that involves, planes, trains, boats. Whether or not New York State DOH has mandated masks. I haven't seen that. But to the extent that we could follow or adhere to the guidelines that were promulgated for New York State residents attending that Buffalo Bills playoff game, which, by the way, I would remind you, Charles, the New England Patriots were not involved in. You might be able to pull that off by strongly suggesting that masks be worn and to make additional masks available to members of the public who may have forgotten theirs in their automobiles, their back pocket, or elsewhere.
So Martina, how much of a lead time do you need for your vendors?
That's a good question. I would say like as soon as possible, like obviously like when we plan for June 6th, at least by early May, I would say definitely at that time, like 4 weeks before, because also we are planning like for September 19th, that street fair. So at least the vendors, when we are not able to do this, I mean, this would be like state-wise anyway. So they would also understand that we have to reschedule it then, like anyway, we're planning for September 19th, the street fair. But if we have to cancel the June 6th, so everyone knows that we would like to host then the street fair on September 19th. So,
Okay, so let us give us a month. Let us see what other changes come forward.
Yeah.
We have these 2 tentative dates, and then we'll revisit it at the next meeting.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Please stay in touch with Kathy Mills.
Yes.
And, and we'll take it from there. It's always a great event here in the Village of Suffern. It drives business, it drives visitors. The residents love it, and the chamber does a great job at it. So hopefully we get it done.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, we have that goal that that we appeal the graphic balance and positive designs and have like the traditional appeal, but also affectionate, warmth, and happiness, like here in the Suffern village. So, and I can imagine that not only Suffern residents would like to come visit us, also the surrounding area. I don't know, maybe we have to find a solution. That's what we did also with the Art and Dine, like to have like different time frames, but hopefully it doesn't come to this solution that we really can do this how we used to do it. So with social distancing and masks, I feel like that's a very good idea. And hopefully, like we did this, I see in downtown Suffern, everybody walking with the mask. So I don't see like why we cannot continue doing this right now. That's even with the vaccine for the safety right now for everyone. So hopefully, I don't know. So does this mean that we can continue working on this to get this all together, or like do we have to wait for real permission?
I mean, I would continue working with it, but I guess you would have to, once again, we're going to be guided by the COVID restrictions and the CDC requirements. But as Mr. Glickle stated, fingers and toes crossed, and possibly putting it together and mandating a mask, and distancing. So, it's a trying time right now, but I would still continue to pursue it.
Okay, my question is also like, how soon did you let actually last year the chamber know that we cannot do, for example, that street fair, like host the street fair? Do you remember?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
Listen, we'll follow up. We'll stay in touch and stay in touch with Kathy, and we'll continue to follow the updates and see what the guidance is recommending. So we still have another month. That will bring us into the beginning of March. So if it's a go in March, you have March, April, and May. You have 3 solid months.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8 we went through. Item 9, Department of Public Works. Mr. Zawicki is out. So I have the resolution authorizing the solicitation of bids for water department chemicals. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Salomon.
Trustee Soberman, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next resolution is authorizing the mayor to execute a municipal snow and ice agreement with New York State Department of Transportation. Rob, do you have any comment on this? Mr. Magrino?
The short answer is no. I read through it. It's a standard agreement with the state to provide the services and with appropriate insurance requirements, et cetera. So I reviewed it with Charles and it's ready to go.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Corrigan.
Do I have a second?
Second, trustee Alpert.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. This time I would like to open it up to public participation. If there is someone from the public that would like to speak, please raise your hand and you will be recognized, and state your name and address, please.
We have a Anna Jordy. Anna, if you would identify yourself and your state, your name and your address, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Jordy, and my address is 92 Global Way in Saffron. I would like to follow up on an issue that was discussed in a meeting before. It's about the shooting range by the ball fields. I am a resident nearby, as you may know by my address, and the noise coming from the shooting range was very loud in the past months, in the past year. I followed the discussion held here by the board and the mayor regarding the shooting range, and I know that the village attorney has also made some inquiries about this gun club, and I wanted to know if there was any update regarding this issue, because sometimes the shootings can go on for like 2, 3, or 4 hours. Even on weekends, like 2 weeks ago or so, it started 9 and 30 a.m. And this is the first thing that you hear before opening your eyes, basically on your day off. It's not a good environment and a good, like, enjoyable space to live. And I also wanted to know that I brought up the issue on a Saffron Facebook group, and many residents of the area stated their concern that the shooting was louder and it got worse over the years, and that they also had complained about the noise coming from the shooting range, and they are frustrated because they feel like nothing had been done in the past. I know that there has been talk about the owner, doing some kind of soundproofing, but I wanted to know if there is any type of update regarding this, and if we can kind of make sure that the residents of the area can have a quiet and enjoyable space to live.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jordy. Chief Lachlan, do you have a follow-up to this concern?
Basically, just what I updated the board on at the workshop meeting that we had spoken about it. The president of the Sportsmen's Association has indicated that they do have plans to do some soundproofing, but they were unable to get materials due to COVID. At this point, they're looking at the spring for the soundproofing upgrades that they're looking to do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Magrino, that's about the update. Do you have any further also on the?
No, the only thing I was involved with in discussing with Chief Lachlan was establishing the ownership and with the building department, whether, the proper use and those items. So we did address those. I think, to answer Ms. Jordy's question, what we could do is to stay on top of the Sportsmen's Association to ask them, about whatever measures they're taking to alleviate the noise. But again, we're in a difficult spot. It's a use that's been there for a while. So, I think the where we're at, which was to try to work with them to eliminate the noise, maybe limit the hours as well, might be something to approach them about.
So that's a good recommendation also, is possibly limiting the hours, particularly on the weekends. Okay, so Ms. Jordy, that's some of the update. Hopefully the soundproofing in conjunction with working into a different schedule for the weekends may help. Is anyone?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, sorry. Yes, that will really help, just considering that there are many residents in the area, and limiting the noise during weekends and during evenings when everybody is at home would be very helpful, as well as providing some kind of soundproofing to the structure itself would be very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is there anyone else, Mr. Janito?
I don't see Michael on, but I see a hand raised.
I see Michael.
Yes, I'm sorry, Gertrude, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I have two questions. The first is regarding Foxwood Pond, and it's a seasonal question, and we're clearly out of season, so I apologize for that. For quite a long time now, there's been orange netting at one end of Foxwood Pond. Presumably, there's some kind of damage there. Not now, obviously, during the winter, but is that something that will be addressed and repaired in the spring?
Okay, we're gonna have to get an answer for you from Mr. Zawicki in regards to the orange netting.
Okay, it's actually been up there. I don't even know when it was first put up. I noticed it all through the fall. So had it only come up in the winter, obviously, it couldn't be repaired, but it really has been up for many months.
Okay, and all right. All right, we'll find out about that. And your second question?
Yes. My second question is regarding a comment that was made at the August 3rd, 2020 Village Board meeting. The following statement was made, and this is a direct quote, which can be heard at the 3-hour, 33-minute, 40-second mark of the video. Quote, "Your goddamn council sued you to the tune of $80,000, unquote. When I foiled this information, there was nothing to indicate that the village had been sued by prior council. Can you please confirm that the accusation made at the public board meeting is a false one? Thank you."
Thank you. Mr. Glicko, do you have a comment in regards to that?
What is that even? I don't even understand what that was about.
There was a question in regards to a comment that was made at the August 3rd board meeting.
I heard the question.
By who?
Who made the comment? And who was it addressed to?
That's why I'm asking Mr. Glickel if he recalls that in regards to the foils. I think he is. Richard, are you? Richard?
And why are we going back to August of 2020? But okay.
Well, we'll be going back to August of 2020, probably later on this year. But in any event, that comment was in response to a remark made by this particular resident that the village had never been sued while prior labor council was on the scene. And in fact, while the village was not sued, there was a claim from prior council to a tune in excess of $80,000, which ultimately was settled in the amount of $75,000 for legal fees in litigation, which every member of this board, I'm sure, remembers, since it wasn't that long ago. What this resident also received was a copy of an email in response to her FOIL. That email was addressed to Trustee Alpert and shared with the entire board, I'm certain, wherein prior counsel advised or informed Trustee Alpert that the papers were ready to go. And just to show you how serious he was, here's a copy of our proposed brief in the lawsuit that we intend to file against the village if our fee claim is not resolved. Does that answer the question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, thank you very much.
I don't recall this information that you're referring to, but as far as something that I was involved in, but
I do. Look back at your emails.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, the email from Mr. Klein is addressed, Dear Steve.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna bring all that up again, even though we all agreed that that was over and we were gonna move forward. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Glick.
Okay. You're referring to an email sent to me, not an email that I sent. I misunderstood. I thought you were
Right.
stating that I sent an email of that nature, and I don't recall that. I did.
No, Steve, you didn't send it. You received it.
That's fine. That's fine. I apologize. I misunderstood what was being said. Sorry.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Glicko. Okay, is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak?
I was just going to clarify, in case it's of help or any assistance, the netting that I believe Gertrude is referring to is on the section of the pond closest to the playground area, if that is of any use in figuring out why it was there and what the
I guess
nature.
it's visible from the road. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll take a look at it. We'll remove it. You know,
Well, no, it might be there for a good reason.
if
Sure
it's
that it's,
there for a reason, we'll leave
Yeah.
it there. If it's there for no good reason, we'll remove it.
okay.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak, Mr. Janito?
Oh, Mayor, yes, two things. Bruce Simon, once everyone else has spoken, asked for some time, but Gertrude has her hand raised again. As you know, we have a 4-minute time limit. She used about 2 minutes. If you don't mind, I'll put her on for up to 2 minutes.
Okay. Does the board have any objection to that?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Michael, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Gertrude.
Thanks. I actually just wanted to respond to, there were a couple of questions that were asked of me and I didn't have a chance to respond. Joe, you asked about why we're revisiting that now. I had only just foiled it and gotten the information, so that's why it still is current. The other thing, I still did not get confirmation. Yes, the prior council had indicated that if their bill remained unpaid, they would sue for payment of services. That's, that never came to be. And I was asking you to confirm that never came to be. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing for somebody to expect their services to be paid for.
Oh, they got paid. Don't worry. They were paid.
Oh, I'm aware they were paid, but I believe that's what Mr. Glickle was referring to, that they threatened to sue because we threatened to not pay them.
Okay, well noted. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
But am I correct? So there was no lawsuit filed, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Ed.
In fact, just to also clarify, as long as we were bringing it up, the amount, while the amount was $75,000 was the amount agreed to, there was another $7,500 I got taken off of that through my own negotiation with Mr. Klein. Just to kind of say it was a little lower than that. It was $7,500 lower than that.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay.
Bruce, you can go ahead, I guess.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bruce.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Board. Just a brief thank you to everyone who has joined the Suffern Marathon so far. We've got a good group of people. We're having a great time. We already have 6 people over 100 miles in the first
Yeah.
home. We have one that's over 200 miles.
I know.
And
That
I've
is
told
crazy.
him, I
feel-
don't think driving should count, but that's a whole other subject.
I am so jealous. I think I'm doing so much. I'm like, oh man, I'm a slacker.
Well, Joe, I think that's because you were counting you and Frazier twice. I think that's why you think you
No,
should.
I didn't put, you know what? I'm going to do that. That's a great idea.
For those that have not joined, this is a,
Put a Fitbit on the dog's leg.
I know.
On
Well,
the
he only,
tail.
he only walks where I walk.
put it on his tail, Joe. So every time it wags, that's more
Oh,
stress hitting her.
you guys are teaching me how to do this so much better.
Just briefly, anybody that wants to join is welcome. SuffernMarathon.com. There is no cost for this. You'll email me your miles once a week. We put them on the leaderboard. We're just having a lot of fun, and we hope everybody gets in and gets moving and just gets healthy. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, at this time, Mr. Janito, the treasurer.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Basically, a couple of things. First, a quick update. We did the budget kickoff with the departments at the very end of January, and we expect all the budget requests to come in from the departments through the month of February. And we'll have something for you to review and prepare for the board that would be delivered in March. So it'll be right along our normal schedule ahead of what the required schedule is under state law. But at any rate, that's what we're looking at. The two resolutions we have before you, one is to very simply to amend a couple of capital projects by some small amounts and essentially take the money from one capital project to pay for these other two. The two capital projects involved improvements to the wastewater treatment plant and sewer system that we have, and the Environmental Facilities Corp provided the financing for the same, for those projects. So what we've done is now had the, I'm sorry, let me just take care of something here. So I'm sorry about that. The projects, with the financing for the projects required some additional funds that were not financed by the EFC. They were not allowable costs. So in any event, these two projects, one of them we need $223 for, the other one is $10,800. And so the $11,023 in total is going to come out of another sewer project that has been funded and the funds are available. So it's no impact on increasing the normal operating budget.
Okay, so I have the resolution amending capital projects 2018-001 and 2019-001. Do I have a motion?
I so move. Trustee Salberman.
Trustee Soberman, do I have a second?
Trustee Corrigan.
Trustee Corrigan, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you.
Okay, and the other one is the Village of Suffern, in the spirit of cooperative municipal agreements, provides fuel for the Village of Airmont, and as well to some extent for the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority. And the Village of Hillburn has asked if they could use our fuel pumps. And when they do, the garage staff will register the amount of fuel being used, and then my office will bill them at the average rate of cost of that fuel for our village. And we buy all the fuel under state contract. So Mr. Magrino has seen a copy of the proposed agreement and has made whatever modifications to it. And I'll leave it to him to advise whether or not it's an agreement that the board should sign.
Yes, it's fine. It's an intermunicipal agreement, which are encouraged. The only thing I wanted to make clear, I know we use the word provide, we're under no obligation to do so. They are permitted to use the pumps and get gas there and pay for it. We're certainly, there's no, if either side can terminate the agreement on notice. So I just wanted to clear that the village is not taking on an obligation to provide the gas. It's an opportunity for Hillburn to use the pumps if they so desire.
Thank you, Mr. Magrino.
So I have the resolution authorizing the Village of Suffern to participate in an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Hillburn. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second, trustee Corrigan.
Trustee Corrigan, any further discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry.
I was just going to inquire. So when a municipality buys fuel from us, how is it metered? In other words, do they pull up and just fill up, or do they say, "Hey, I'm here. Can I fill up?" You know, like how does that get coordinated?
The village garage coordinates that. The employees at the village garage, so somebody just doesn't get out and pump their own gas. They get notified the people in the garage. They come out, they pump the gas for them, and then like any other gas pump, we have meters. They record when and how much gas was pumped out, and that's what actually is sent back to the village, the number of visits they had. So the Village of Hillburn, in that case, could make sure that one of its employees aren't filling up a gas can or a gas tank that they shouldn't be filling up. And yes, and so that's how it's done.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
All
Okay,
in
well,
favor?
thank you, Mayor. That's all we had.
Okay, I think we did the first and the second. We were on the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Steve Conley. Is Steve with us here this evening? There he is.
Steve is here. Steve, let's make sure you can unmute yourself. Steve, you can unmute yourself.
There he goes.
Okay. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Village Board.
Good evening. Okay, go ahead.
I would like, go ahead.
No, go
I
ahead.
don't know if
You
want
got the floor.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask the board and the mayor to approve the appointment of Adam Gordon as the fire inspector part-time, effective probably this evening or tomorrow, whatever is appropriate.
Okay, so I have the resolution appointing Adam Gordon as fire inspector part-time effective February 3rd, 2021. Whereas the position of fire inspector part-time was vacated by the resignation of Michael Stark on December 28, 2020. And whereas Rockland County Department of Personnel approved Adam Gordon on December 11, 2020 for the position of fire safety inspector part-time in accordance with the specifications for the position. Therefore, be resolved, Adam Gordon is hereby appointed to the position of fire inspector part-time at an hourly rate of $35 effective February 3rd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Trustee Salomon, I so move.
Trustee Soberman, do I have a second?
Second, trustee.
Trustee Alpert on the second. Any further discussion? I, along with the building inspector, Steve Conley, did interview Adam Gordon. He seems, he is qualified. He's qualified through Rockland County Department of Personnel, and he has an abundance of experience and knowledge that he's going to bring to this village and help us bring this village forward and keep us safe.
Nice to hear.
All in favor or any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Conley.
you. Thank you.
Okay, next. Okay, Mr. Magrino, on the resolution. We need to just change that time because there's a conflict with the 254 for the public hearing, so we'll make this one 7:10.
Right, that's fine.
Sorry. That was for Mr. Glickel, I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's fine.
Mr. Glickel on the author for the public hearing for the FOIL appeals officer.
Got it.
Okay. So I have the resolution authorizing a public hearing to be held March 1st, 2021 to consider amendments to chapter 213-7 of the Code of the Village of Suffern entitled Denial of Access to Records. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes holding a public hearing on March 1st, 2021 to be held at 7:10 p.m. to consider amendments to chapter 213-7 of the Code of the Village of Suffern entitled Denial of Access to Records to designate the processing of FOIL appeals. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Corrigan.
Do I have a second?
Second, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And the next one is Rob, Mr. Magrino.
Right. Do you have the wording in front of you for?
Yes. You want me to go
This is,
through it?
we discussed at the workshop about just a resolution authorizing the issuance of an RFP for the village comprehensive plan for a
Right.
planner to make submissions to prepare a comprehensive plan for the village.
I have the resolution authorizing a request for proposal to review current zoning and planning regulations and to adopt a comprehensive plan. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone,
Second, trustee Corrigan.
trustee Corrigan, any further discussion?
Mayor, could you just please in a sentence or two explain that to me? Exactly what it is?
It's a request for proposal for a comprehensive plan to review current zoning and planning regulations.
Okay, thank you.
So we had a first and a second. We're on a discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Trustees. Any?
I do have one thing on a sad note. I was just informed that Mr. Charles McNally passed last week. He was a longtime board on the rec department, and he played Santa. He helped outside activities. He was a sidekick to Gail all the time. He was very, very involved in the rec department. And I just found out about his passing, and I just, I wanted to, his son is a gym teacher at Connor, and I just wanted to say thank you to him and his family for everything he has shared with us on the rec department and everything, that they still do for the village. That's all I have tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, and my condolences to the McNally family. Thank you, Joe. Anyone else?
I just wanted to follow up at the workshop. I believe I brought up, the opportunity of maybe looking into the cost of having our sewage treated elsewhere versus spending $9 million, which is a lot of money on a plant, and passing, repairs that are required, and passing that cost on to residents. I would just like a cost benefit analysis, and I just want to make sure something is underway. That's all. I'm not saying that doing the repairs is the worst way to go. It might be the best way to go, but I'd like to see those numbers at some point.
Okay, all right, thank you. No. Okay. I just want to speak about the DPW and the snow removal and their actions and work during the snowstorm. Actually unbelievable.
Truly.
The process and the work that these men have put in the last 4 days is highly commendable to each and every one of you. I received so much positive feedback on the condition of our roads and keeping our village safe. I thank you, and the village board, I'm sure, thanks you also great job to the entire DPW staff. I was in constant contact with them throughout the storm, and no injuries, no, it was just unremarkable, but remarkable at the same time. So thank you very much.
And I am quite sure they are home sleeping for a change. And what they did downtown was amazing after that whole thing, because I've been challenged, I have Bruce Simon who's challenging me to walk a lot. So in these snow conditions, it's a little difficult to walk around, but they really amazing job as always. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier. That's a bad on me, but as always, they are top notch.
Great.
Just add to that, I commute every day to Secaucus, New Jersey for my primary job. And I'll tell you what, many of the villages and towns along the way in New Jersey had terrible snow, that just, they didn't clear it properly, or they waited 2-3 days to clear it. And Suffern was clean like immediately. And I am so thankful that I live in a village where people have pride, and the employees do a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Motion to close.
Motion, Trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert,
Second, Trustee Corrigan.
Corrigan. Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you, village residents, for attending. Have a good
Have
night.
a good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stay safe.